MFidel, and today I'm going to reveal to you the unknown truth about foster care. Inspired by the piece Looking for the Golden Toe by Richard Blanco and the letter from Birmingham jail written by Martin Luther King Jr., I asked myself, what occurs to the thousands of children that do not have a suitable guardian accessible? What happens when a child is left alone or neglected? Where do children resort to when they have nowhere else to go? Established over the last century in 1853, foster care is a program created in order to provide protection for children and adolescents that either do not have a guardian or are abused, neglected, and or display safety concerns. According to the American Academy of Pediatrics, the goal of foster care is to provide for the health, safety, and well-being of children and adolescents while fostering reunification and alternative permanency arrangements when reunification is not possible. Which led me to ask myself, to what extent does foster care truly help the children of America? Throughout my research, I focused on three different perspectives. I researched the psychological effects of foster care, behavioral effects, and the post-foster care trends. Starting off with the psychological effects. Neglect and abuse is a large contributor towards the psychological issues that a majority of foster kids deal with. Neglect, meaning to fail to take care of properly, is the most common form of child maltreatment, whereas abuse is the second. In 2016, 92,107 children were removed from their homes due to parental abuse, and 166,679 children, 61% of those entering foster care, were placed in foster care due to neglect, which is often exacerbated by parental drug abuse. So, why do these statistics display an issue with the foster care system? Well, according to the Child Welfare Information Gateway, 50% of infants that are victims of abuse and neglect have demonstrated some form of cognitive delay and have lower IQ scores and language difficulties compared to children who have not been abused or neglected. Yet, it isn't a priority to help these psychological issues that thousands of children in care face. Not only is it evident that the program doesn't prioritize these issues, but there are also instances in which situations are completely overlooked by the system. A case covered by ABC News claims that on June 25th of 2001, Sally Schofield, the foster mother of Logan Marr, was found guilty of suffocating her 5-year-old with 42 feet of duct tape during a timeout. 6 weeks prior to the incident, Logan was accompanied to visit her birth mother with a welfare worker and was caught on tape exclaiming, "She did this to me and I cried because it hurt me." According to ABC, despite this information, there was no immediate investigation that Logan's child welfare worker failed to make a required quarterly visit to the foster care home. This report illustrates an example of the foster care failing its children. In this instance, the abuse resulted in death, yet there are a number of different cases that are affecting children in the program day by day. On the right, we see Christy Baker sitting outside the State House following a conference. She is holding a picture of Logan Marr, her 5-year-old biological daughter, after death. Constant movement is another factor of the foster care system that is a large contributor to the psychological issues that these children face. Highlighting the issues of foster care's ongoing movement from foster home to foster home, Jessica Leahy, an author for The Atlantic, claims that on average, a child can move from alternate foster homes 1 to 2 times annually. And by the time they age out of foster care, over 1/3 of them will have experienced 5 to 6 moves. This resulting in foster care children losing an estimated of 4 to 6 months of academic progress per move. Because of the challenges faced academically caused by consistent movement of homes, completing high school is much more difficult for these children. And in terms of long terms effects, those who are constantly moving are more likely to report feelings of unhappiness and dissatisfaction, as well as have fewer quality social relationships. Many caseworkers may be so focused on delivering the most basic services in foster care that they are unable to monitor children's school transfers and other education needs. The second lens I focused on were behavioral effects of children in foster care. Substance abuse is prevalent throughout the lives of the majority of the children in the program, which ultimately damages their own future because of the lack of support necessary to quit these habits. This can be supported by the U.S. National Library of Medicine's case of 406 17-year-old children in one state foster care, between December 2001 and June 2003 that demonstrated 45% of foster care youth have taken a part of illicit drugs. 49% have attested to trying a legal substance, and 35% were capable of being diagnosed with substance abuse disorder. The youth of foster care turn to substance abuse as a method of coping with the hardships of the psychological problems that are not properly dealt with throughout the time in the program. If these issues were prioritized more, then the result of behavioral outbursts would lessen. The habits of substance abuse can lead individuals to future addiction. A future of addiction can ultimately lead to mental and financial instability. Without the proper aid, children in the program who are exposed to illegal substances are susceptible to an unstable lifestyle in which they are required to provide for themselves. Lastly, the third perspective. I dove deep into the post-foster care trends of the children in the program. Automatically, around 20% of 23,000 individuals that age out of foster care annually are left without anywhere to go, instantly becoming homeless. And only 50% of those 23,000 individuals receive some form of employment by the age of 24. Homelessness is a pattern of life seen throughout a large amount of aged foster care individuals and is often caused by the lack of education for a stable job, substance abuse, and/or mental deficits. Based on this, the question that may be generated listening to what I've discussed so far is what is currently being done to help prevent these trends and aid the psychological and behavioral challenges children in foster care face. Well, according to the U.S. Government Accountability Office, due to the increased mental health issues of children in the program, foster youth are prescribed psychotropic medications at much higher rates than non-foster youth. Yet, despite the supply of prescription, the American Academy of Pediatrics still claims mental and behavioral health is still the greatest unmet need for children in foster care, which ultimately proves the insufficiency of the provided mental and health care for those in foster care. So, in reality, the question that should be asked is, what should be done to help prevent these trends and aid psychological and behavioral challenges faced by children in foster care? Well, there are an estimated 7.15 billion users of social media and mobile phones in 2011. Imagine the difference raising awareness can make. It may sound cliche, but if this issue is acknowledged, things such as appropriate mental care could be provided. Donations towards foster care programs could potentially increase, and even the number of people who may think about adopting these children could raise. In order to make a difference in thousands of children's lives, we must take advantage of what we already have. Thank you.
What information did you need that you weren't really able to find or locate during your research process?
Well, during my research, I tried to find some information about economic incentives, or financial incentives actually, because before going into this topic, I didn't really know much about it, and I heard that there were a lot of cases where foster parents were accused of only taking in these foster children for the money because there's a foster care pay when children are taken in. So I didn't really find many statistics on any cases of which financial incentives were the only reason why foster parents were to take in these children, which would have strengthened my proposition, I think.
Great. And what advice would you have for other researchers who consider this topic?
Well, a couple days ago, I actually worked at this program. It's called Peace for Kids, and it's where you work with foster care children. And I've been doing this research for the past 3 weeks, and I think it's easy to let these statistics kind of blind you from the side that these are real children, and there's thousands of them across America. So I think that experience helped me realize that we need, when doing these types of research projects, we need to be able to understand that these are real lives at stake, which is why the solution is so important.
Awesome. Thank you.